Hey guys, I'm Jason White. This is Weird Reads, and welcome to my book haul video. Me and the family were camping. The camping trip killed my laptop, and I was really depressed about that for a few days. I took it to the shop, and turns out it is dead. The motherboard is pooched. They don't know why. They said there was no apparent water damage though, and I thought that it died from condensation, a buildup of condensation, but they said it wasn't that. It just doesn't want to work anymore. It decided to give up the ghost. So I got a new one, and it was cheap, but it's used, but it's still a MacBook Pro, and that's what I prefer using. Anyways, on that rainy day while we were camping, we decided to take a tour around some of the towns nearby the campground and check out their used bookstores. And boy, did I ever get both me and my wife, we got a big haul, and I think between us there's like 30 to 50 books somewhere. So I'm gonna show you guys what I got. I'm gonna start off with the more literary stuff. There's only 4 of them, I believe. No, 5. And some of these are actually some of the proudest ones that I've gotten. Dane reads. I might mention him a couple of times in this video because I kept coming across books that made me think of him. I've read Greene's The Power and the Glory before, and it's the only book by him I read, and I really liked it, and it was a library copy, and so I decided I'd pick it up because I want it for my library. And some interesting notes in here, some paragraphs that have been highlighted, well, not highlighted, but have lines drawn beside them and whatnot. Oh, I guess somebody was writing an essay on this, because there's the words essay. So, well, I don't really care about the condition, I just want it for my library. So Greene's The Power and the Glory. And I also got Greene's Travels with My Aunt, which was really awesome. This one looks like it's just going to be a fun ride, and I can't wait to dig into it. Speaking of Dane, we had a conversation once on one of my videos in the comments section about my having not read Shakespeare, and so at one of the stores that we saw, actually all these books were picked up at a thrift store in Owen Sound called Value Village, and not all of them, just these literary ones. And I saw a whole bunch of Shakespeare at this place, and I was like, okay, you know what? I need to read some Shakespeare at some point. So I thought, you know, why not go with one that I've been wanting to read, and that's Macbeth. So I picked that up. And John Steinbeck is one of my favorite classic American writers. And he's one author I want to read everything that he's written. And there's not too many authors where I want to read everything that they've written. So there was a couple of Steinbeck books there. And I picked up this one, Sweet Thursday. Sort of joined in with his other book, Cannery Row, which is one of my favorite Steinbeck books. I don't think I've read this one, but I might have. Whatever the case, I'm gonna read it and gonna enjoy it. And I also found this by Steinbeck. After he died, his wife and some other guy named Robert Walston. I'm sorry, I'm unfamiliar with who he is, but Alain Steinbeck, his wife, I believe it's his wife. They decided to do, you know, a selection of his letters. Now, the interesting story behind this one, though, is while they were compiling his letters, they sort of found a bit of a timeline, and so they sort of condensed the letters so that it made a cohesive story, and I think that's really great. And each letter is, it says who it's to. And then it just goes into you know, of course, what he wrote them. And they basically say that this is basically like an autobiography. in letters, which is a really cool concept. Alright, so on to the horror. One of the first books I saw, and this was at a store called The Phoenix in Owen Sound. I had to get it just for the cover. It's a fucking awesome cover. It's called Bring On the Night. And it's a Tor horror. I believe it's 1990. It's 1993, and I just love the flip jacket. See that kid with the vampire child? I absolutely love that. I'm gonna read this. You know, they say don't judge a book by its cover, but that is such bullshit. We all judge books by its cover. So any writers out there, it's very important that you get a very eye-catching, awesome cover, because that's how you're gonna sell your book. And so I went to the Phoenix, as I said. That was one bookstore. The second bookstore was called Mike's Used Books, and from there I got this. I was really surprised to find this there. I've never seen this in the wild, honestly, and this is going to be such an easy read. I mean, just look at the print. That is awesome. I love that. I love that kind of print. It just makes it so much easier to read. Now, the rest of the books I've got came from both those shops. I can't remember where, though. Okay, I found this, and I had to pick it up once I saw it. I never read it, but I want to read it. I just love the title. The Face That Must Die by Ramsey Campbell. And this is from Tor, and it's from the year 1983. So this isn't technically an original. I believe this was originally published over in Britain, where Ramsey Campbell is from, but Tor was his American publisher, and so they published it around the same time, I imagine. This book, I used to see this cover all the time because of how ridiculous it is, so I picked it up. It's called Nightscape by Stephen R. George. I just love that cover. That's a crazy cover. This book is by Zebra, and it was published in 1992. And it was obviously previously owned, but their name is up in the top there. I guess they liked it until they didn't. And then they, of course, traded it. This is another awesome cover. It's called Tibbs House by Sam Holroyd. That's just some fantastic art right there. Now this is from, I can't really see who the publisher is. Nell. This is a first Nell paperback edition from January 1977. That's pretty awesome. I want to read it. There's a couple books here, like this one, that sound just crazy. And like this one, it's called Nightshade by Stanley R. Moore. I love the cover, the skeletons. This is by Onyx, and it was published in 1989. Mort Castle. I got to meet Mort Castle. I believe it was in the Horror Writers Convention of 2007 that happened in Toronto. It was a brief talk that I had with him, and I also got to see him speak a lot. But I was really happy to find Cursed Be the Child by Mort Castle. This was published by Leisure, and in, let me see here, 1990. Can't wait to read this because he is an awesome author. Another British author, I believe. Alright. Guyan Smith, he is very much a pulp writer of the 80s and 90s, I believe. And when I saw this, I don't own any Guyan Smith books, so when I saw this, I just had to snatch it up just for his name. It's called Water Rights. It's published by Zebra in 1997. Dream Thorpe by Chet Williamson. I love this title. Chet Williamson wrote, he sort of continued, now the name's escaping me, you're going to have to forgive me on this, but he continued writing the Psycho series recently, and like I said, it's just, right now it's gone, but it's a fantastic book, and this one looks really fucking good. I just love that cover, man. I would so hang a picture of this on my wall. I just love the color scheme and the demon that's in there. This looks like a fantastic read. It's by Avon, and it was published in let me see here, July of 1989. We're getting there. Okay, this series, I've read the first 2 books. This is book 4. And it's the Blackwater series by Michael McDowell. And I've made it my personal mission to collect all the books in this, the physical form. I have book 1, and now I have book 4, and I'm looking for the rest. And of course, this is by Avon, and it was published as a serial in 1983. Wow. Thought it was later than that. Found this, Cold Kiss by Roxanne Longstreet. Another cover I just couldn't resist. I love vampire fiction, and this just kind of jumps, man. It really pops. This was published by Pinnacle Horror, and it was published in 1994. And again, we have some really awesome page layout. I just love that. It'd be a real quick, easy read. Alright, oh yeah, another skeleton cover. This one, I was really surprised to find. Stage Fright by Garrett Boatman. Awesome cover. This one also sounds like a hoot. I haven't read it. And it was published by Onyx in, let's see here, in 1988. The Sentinel. Have you seen that movie? It's a fucking weird movie, man. And so I couldn't resist when I saw the cover, even though they've cut off the flapjack. Well, they didn't cut off the flap jacket, but they cut off the corner. I think it's because the book, there's something wrong with it. Instead of putting the dot on it like they do now, they used to cut the corner. And that kind of pisses me off. But hey, what are you going to do? I found it in the wild. And like I said with the flap, that's pretty cool. That would also make a cool poster. And of course, this is written by Jeffrey Konvitz. They made it into a movie. It was published by Ballantine, I believe. Let me see here. Yeah, Ballantine Books in 1974. And 2 more to go. I ran into this. Rick Hatala. He's a really awesome author as well. Rest in peace. He died a few years ago, unfortunately. And I have a couple of his books. Now I'm really happy to add this one to it. Moondog. This was published by General. Hang on. A General paperback edition. Copyright 1982 by Rick Hatala. And lastly, another, this book was actually written as an adaptation of the movie, but it's my favorite movie, my favorite horror movie of all time, and I don't think that's ever going to change, and that is John Carpenter's The Thing. I was so surprised to see this. I actually think I did know that they wrote it. They wrote it in a book form by Alan Dean Foster. I just forgot, and when I saw it, I was like, what? And of course, this is actually, they say inside the cover that it's based off John W. Campbell's short story. What is that book called? Again, escapes me. Anyways, all it says is based on the story by John W. Campbell, and I don't think it was The Thing. So, anyways, this is by Bantam Books, and they published it probably the same year as the movie, which is true, 1982. Alright, The Thing. Alright, that's my massive book haul. As you can see, I don't really have the room for it. I'm gonna have to figure out something. Add more shelves somewhere. Just add just that installment alone. Thanks for watching. Keep being creative, and we will see you next time.